a movie review on video. I just had to make this video to talk about one of my new favorite movies. Just out 3 days ago now in the States, only on TV, bizarrely. And gonna be out here in August, supposedly, knock on wood. But I had to see it before then. I couldn't possibly wait to see Steven Soderbergh's new masterpiece, Behind the Candelabra. A biographical movie about the great entertainer, Mr. Showmanship, Liberace, chronicling specifically the between 6 and 7 years that he lived with, I want to say, the love of his life, Scott Thorson. First of all, I have to say that I loved the movie. I loved it. It's fantastic. It's probably the best movie I've seen all year. I loved it. And then I should also mention that I am a huge Liberace fan. Seriously, I am 36 years old. I love Liberace. He is pretty much a hero of mine. I think if you don't like Liberace, that's because you don't know enough about him. Seriously. I like him so much that, for those of you watching this who know what I mean when I say the F&B doll that was made based on Lee's likeness, the Liberace F&B doll, that doll is on display in my living room. Yeah. You might notice, in fact, the Liberace calendar on the wall behind me. It is the 2001 calendar, because I haven't been able to find one for any years since then. So I keep this one because I just have to have a Liberace calendar. So, yeah, I have to mention that because I'm generally a positive, happy person, and so I am prejudiced in the favor of this movie since I already like its subject. But I was also very, especially initially when I heard about the project, I was nervous, leery of it, because I just thought to myself, if this is good, it's going to be so good, it's going to be fantastic, but if it isn't good, I'll be crushed. Because this is going to be like the Liberace movie for who knows how long. It's the director, it's the screenwriter, it's the actors. Just, this is the Liberace movie. So if this is no good, then I was stuck with it. So I was nervous, but I was mostly looking forward to it because the talent involved in this production is significant. And I was not disappointed. Behind the Candelabra stars Michael Douglas as Lee and Matt Damon as Scott. Kind of a peculiar casting because Damon is way too old for this role. But he did it fantastically. There are some smaller roles as well. Dan Aykroyd plays Seymour Heller, who was Lee's manager for many years. Very close friend, extremely important person in Lee's life. Rob Lowe plays an incredibly cheesy plastic surgeon and drug dealer, almost, to both Lee and Scott, or surgeon to both, dealer to Scott. Some really good supporting actors, but it's Michael Douglas and especially Matt Damon who shine in this movie. Like a lot of people, I was a bit nonplussed when I heard that Damon had been cast as Scott because, yeah, he's way too old. When the movie opens, Scott is 17 going on 18. Matt Damon is 43. So he is 25 years older than the character he plays. And you might think that sounds really messed up, but it works. It totally works. It's actually, I have to say, with what I've seen of Matt Damon, this is the best performance of his career. He does an absolutely fantastic job. And I have no problem understanding why they chose an actor so, let's say, mature for this part, because it's a very demanding role. Very difficult. And there is no way you can in good conscience put an actual teenage boy in front of the camera and have him play this, because Scott is kind of damaged goods. He's had a very difficult background, difficult childhood, gone through a lot of shit that most of us, fortunately, don't have to suffer. So I think if a 17 or 18-year-old is good enough to act that in itself is reason why they shouldn't, because they would have to know too much about life at that young age. So they should be protected. So they needed a mature man to play this, who could really give the character the depth that it needed and deserved. And I think Damon did a fantastic job. And the makeup artist done an amazing job on him. He is convincing, I think, as Scott at 18. Then over the almost 7 years that the relationship lasted, or was it a little over 7? 7-ish? Of course he ages. He uses a lot of drugs. He has plastic surgery. So he looks worn. Yeah, he does. And I don't think that Scott, the real Scott, ever was the kind of 17 that you think about when you hear the word 17 going on 18. I don't think he ever was that guy. So I think it works. No problem with Damon's age. He did a fantastic job. He is amazing in this movie. It's worth seeing just for him. It's the performance of his career. Seriously. But Michael Douglas as Liberace, of course, he has a lot to compare it with, but he doesn't look entirely like Lee. He looks like Michael Douglas dressed up as Liberace. But how do you avoid that? I don't know. He is Michael Douglas dressed up as Liberace, and I think that he does a fantastically good job. The best that could have been expected. His acting is superb. They've done a wonderful job with the makeup, with the hair, with everything. He is a fantastically good actor. It's a shame that this is a made-for-TV movie, because it means neither of them are eligible for an Academy Award, which they both richly deserve. He has done a very, very good job of capturing not so much Lee's voice, I think, because there was always the hint of a Wisconsin accent that I think was always a bit stronger than Douglas manages, but to a large extent he's captured the voice, and he's captured the mannerisms, and he's captured Lee's spirit, for lack of a better word. I don't believe in that shit, but again, lack of a better word. I think he does an amazing, amazing job. Again, it's worth seeing just for him. And the interplay between them is wonderful. These two together just create movie magic in this picture. It is fantastic. Just the chemistry between them and the interaction and all the little things. I've only seen this movie once so far. I'm going to see it again probably before it even opens here, but I'm definitely going to see it when it opens, which is supposed to be in August, because this is a movie that you can see again and again and probably discover something new every time. There are so many little things that they've done so well. The foreshadowing is obvious but not blatant, if that makes sense. You can understand all along that this is going to end really badly for Scott. It's obvious to all of us, but at the same time, it's not, you're not sitting there shouting at the screen, get the fuck out. Can't you tell this is going to go so wrong? You know? So I think the screenwriter has done a fantastic job. The screenplay is wonderful. It brings this relationship to life in a way that, yes, it is a whitewash. In the sense that there are things you could say about Scott Thorson that this movie doesn't say. But it's based on his autobiography. So I'm sure that in order to get to use it, you would have to, they probably agreed to some whitewashing. And I think that's fair. That's fair. This is seen from Scott's viewpoint. So what do you expect? But there is a lot of honesty in the movie. From what I know, I think although some things have been left out, I do feel like it is a very honest depiction of their relationship. And for those of you who think, oh, the gay thing is disgusting, whatever, you shouldn't look at it like that. It says something about human relationship generally, a lot of romantic relationships. It really shows that kind of situation where you may love someone, like really love them because they did love each other. Scott was, I wouldn't hesitate to say, the love of Lee's life. And Lee may quite possibly have been the same for Scott, but even though you love someone, really love them with all your heart, they can still be so bad for you. They can still be poison for you. And that's what happens here. They start out well, but as the relationship grows, they each have their problems, their emotional baggage, things that they're dealing with that they probably needed some help to deal with. That just, over time, killed their relationship. Which is really sad because they did have a great thing, but it was a bizarre situation. But because of who Lee was, and because of the time that they couldn't be open, even if they could have been, Lee didn't want to. Because he wanted the image that he had. And that was so important to him. And it is a fantastic depiction of how their relationship just takes the wrong path. And how they both feed into that. But at the same time, it's difficult to see how it could have turned out otherwise. Again, the situation that they're in, it was so bizarre and unnatural. Yeah, I think the screenplay, wonderful. The story, while it leaves things out, it is very good. And it is true. In the sense that it is truthful. Certainly emotionally very truthful. The setting, the sets are fantastic. The costumes, brilliant. Scenography, fantastic. Almost everything is great. There are a few things that I miss. Rudy is just gone. There's no Rudy. And while I understand the movie's almost 2 hours long, so I understand that they can't have everything in there, but I think they could have shanghaied some guy to play Rudy for 20 seconds. Just in the scene at Francis' funeral. I mean, he was a part of their lives. There were 4 kids, not 3, so yeah, that's weird. But I get that omission, it's not a big deal. But what is kind of a big deal is that Sam has also been completely excised. He's not, as I recall it, unless I fell asleep, he's not even mentioned. Which I think is really, really weird. Because that is one thing that Lee and Scott had very much in common. Scott had a deadbeat dad, and Lee, maybe I didn't want to call Sam a deadbeat dad, but certainly they had a very conflicted relationship, and there was a lot of package there for Lee to carry through his life from his childhood and his teenage years. And I think, just based on my random impressions, I'm obviously not a psychiatrist, I have very little insight into psychology, but I think that Sam shaped Lee a lot, shaped his personality, which in turn shaped the course of his life. This whole inability to commit, always chasing after the next thing that would or would not come along. The narcissism, which is a pathological trait, it's a diagnosis, which Lee never got, but still may have had. And also shaped some of his much more lovable traits, like his generosity and helpfulness, which was very strong in Lee. I think also may have been shaped, albeit unconsciously, by Sam and his actions in Lee's formative years. So I thought it was really weird that Sam's just totally been omitted. Frances doesn't play a very big role, but she's there, and you get the presence that she is in Lee's life. And I think that Sam, although the negative to Frances is positive, he was also a huge presence in Lee's life throughout his life. So I find it very strange that you have scenes with Lee and Scott sharing things and talking about their backgrounds, and Sam is an enormous part of that. I think it's really weird that they don't have him come up and don't explore that at all. I'm sure it's a conscious choice on their parts, but personally I find it strange, and that is the one huge omission that I think leaves us a bit in the dark, because I think it was something that was very important. The third thing that I miss is, bizarrely, I'll be seeing you. Again, unless I fell asleep, I'll be seeing you is not in the movie. I was expecting to hear it over the credits. No, it's not there. They've chosen something else. And, you know, I thought at first that they maybe didn't get the rights to use it, but I'll Be Seeing You. When Steven Soderbergh makes a movie about Liberace, they don't get permission to use I'll Be Seeing You. That is seriously weird. So I'm glad I had my trusty MP3 player ready with, of course, I'll Be Seeing You on it, so I could listen to it, because that was the song that I so wanted to hear after watching this movie. But yeah, 3 things that I missed. It was a fantastic movie. It is a fantastic movie. I'm gonna see it again. The actors are fantastic. I have to also mention, I don't remember her name, but the actress who played Frances Liberace, Lee's mother, she is Frances come back to life. It's scary. She is so like her that I was freaked out. I was seriously freaked out. She does an amazing job. They've recreated Frances totally. But all the actors, especially I would say Matt Damon, gives the best performance here. He is absolutely stunning. The emotion that he portrays. Wow. Again, it's a huge shame that this was made for TV. According to Soderbergh, he took the screenplay to every studio he's ever worked with, and everyone turned it down. Whether it's because of the gay thing, or the AIDS thing, or the fact that Liberace was, up till now, kind of forgotten. I don't know. But they all turned him down. So finally he went to HBO, and they let him make it. It's not in theaters in the United States. Maybe it will be. I don't know how HBO does that, if they will allow anyone to release it theatrically when it's their production, but it's going to be in theaters in the UK. I know it's going to open next Friday, and here in Norway it's going to be on in August. I can't wait to see it on the big screen. Fantastic screenplay, stunning costumes, makeup, brilliant sets, everything, and the performances of a lifetime, at least from Matt Damon, and almost the same from Michael Douglas. So you cannot miss this movie. It is seriously, for me, it's the best movie that I've seen, yeah, so far this year. Maybe the best one I will see all year. So, don't miss it. Seriously. Do not miss it.
Fun being with you, and I'll be looking forward to when we can get together again and have another musical time together. On behalf of my brother George and our guest artist, I'd like to say thanks to Million for writing to us and being such a wonderful audience. And I'll see you in the morning sun. And when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
Behind the Candelabra by Steven Soderbergh. Don't miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star of the show, Mr. Showmanship, Liberace.
Wow. This is my friend Scott Thorson, his first time in Las Vegas.
You were incredible out there.
Well, this must be fate. I have a great idea. Why don't you come work for me?
As what?
I need a companion, a bodyguard, someone I can talk to. Say yes, Scott.
Mr. Thorson, Lee's expecting you.
I call this palatial kitsch.
Wow.
Your happiness means everything to me, Scott. You make me feel so young.
Such a loving man.
Is this the kind of life you want for yourself?
My eyes were open, Rose. I promise. best friend. I'll do whatever you want.
Jack, I want to talk to you about doing some surgery on Scott. I want you to make Scott look like this.
Oh, I see. I think maybe this was a mistake. I can't live like this. Everybody looks down on me.
Stop taking those pills. You're always in a mood.
This is not exactly the life that I had planned for myself.
Please don't be unhappy. I can't stand it when you have a face like that, especially after the money I paid for it. No one has ever been closer to me than this young man.